Greetings, everyone. Welcome to our new edition of the Grassroots Bulletin. Today, we have the amazing representative Jess Grill from Manchester. Who's going to talk to us a little bit more about the work that she does in and outside of the State House and in the community of Manchester. Representative, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing? It's good to be here.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So, Representative, I know you fairly well, but there are a lot of folks out there tuning in right now that don't know who Rep Grill is. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Totally. So as Sebastian mentioned, I am a state rep in Manchester's Ward 12. In my non-political life, I work in advertising for an ad agency doing media planning, buying, all sorts of fun stuff like that for different brands. And I also love to volunteer in the community outside of my own race and help spread the word about issues impacting people in New Hampshire, especially young people and working families.
Awesome, awesome. Representative, so how do you get involved in politics? Like, what was the little thing that ignited your passion to just get organizing?
Yeah, so I started getting involved at a pretty young age. I volunteered in middle and high school. My parents were pretty involved in the local political world, so I got a lot of exposure kind of through them, just going to different events, and that got me into knocking doors, holding signs, doing floats at parades, things like that.
Mm.
And then when I moved back to New Hampshire during COVID, I started working at the polls on election day because I thought it was important to have people be involved in our democracy, especially at a time where a lot of people who are traditionally involved in volunteering weren't able to do so. So I thought it was time to step up and kind of contribute in that way. And then the more I got involved doing various volunteer roles around the community, it kind of snowballed into me deciding to run myself.
There you go, and we're happy to have you. So Representative, you are a full-time worker. You're a state representative. You're a large member of the Manchester City Democrats. How can you balance all that? Like to me right now, it's like, holy, that's a lot of work. So how can you manage that?
I like staying busy. I feel like the more I have to do, the more it all kind of fits together in a weird way. But I definitely make sure to set those boundaries and make sure I'm taking time for myself. This summer I've enjoyed a lot of time up, boating, swimming, going outside, making sure to touch grass and spend some time in nature, not necessarily looking at the news and doom scrolling all day. So I definitely think that's important, having some stuff that gets you outside and doing things that keep you active physically and mentally. Beyond that, though, I find that a lot of the community work that I do centers around just what's going on at people's dinner tables. I live in an apartment community, so I hear about what's going on in the community through just talking to my neighbors, chatting with people as we're on our way to work, getting in our cars in the morning, and then coming back at night when people are walking their dogs. So I find
Yeah.
I get a lot of exposure to what's going on and what really is top of mind for people just by living my own day-to-day life and being in touch with the people around me. So really that's kind of step one to being a good organizer. You don't need any sort of magic dust or special skills. It's just about like A, your own lived experience, and then B, listening to your friends and neighbors and understanding what's going on in their lives. Because most of the time we have a lot of the shared challenges, shared pain points in our day-to-day lives.
Excellent, excellent. And final question. So you're a young person in politics, young person in a local committee. What can we do? What can all the town committees and county committees do, or they just any regular actors to like attract and engage younger people like us?
Yeah, I think in large part, a lot of young people have this perception that politics isn't for them. Either it's boring or it's stressful or it's just another job to do on top of their own day-to-day work. So I think the more that we can reduce barriers to people coming to events, coming to meetings, for example, rather than holding a traditional sort of sit-down meeting, you could gather a
Mm.
group at a playground, have a cookout, invite people to bring their kids and let their kids run around. So there's less stress about finding childcare, finding someone to handle all the day-to-day things that come in with just working and living your day-to-day life. So I think reducing those barriers to entry and making sure that people can come regardless of what else is on their plate without necessarily adding more obligations to their day. I think too, making sure that we're creating an environment where it's not necessarily a top-down approach with one person at the front of the room speaking at people, but having roundtables, having breakout groups, activities that engage people. Maybe if there's a demonstration coming up, a No Kings protest or another peaceful demonstration, getting people together to make signs and posters, having activities that really engage people and make people feel welcome. And then lastly, I think making sure to hold space for new ideas and diverse perspectives. Oftentimes, this doesn't just happen in politics. I experienced this as a manager in my day job. When you've been in a role for a long time, it's easy to fall into the trap of here's how we've always done it. I know what I'm doing. And even if you might not consciously be shutting out other perspectives, I think it's helpful as leaders to kind of force ourselves to step out of our comfort zone, force ourselves to try doing things a new way. And it's one thing to say that new people are welcome to a group, but if you don't actually make sure that their ideas are heard and considered on a serious level, then it's hard sell to get people to come back. So I think making sure that we're holding space for people to bring their ideas to the table and really share perspectives and have those tough conversations, even if it means leaders trying something different or stepping out of their comfort zones, I think is really key.
The amount of things that one individual can learn from stepping out of the comfort zone that you just talked about is just super important.
Absolutely.
I experienced it myself. I know many organizers also experienced it before.
Me too. I
Representative,
learned new things from my coordinators at my job, my direct reports. I've been in my job a few years longer, but in some ways that can be a blessing and a curse, right? You get stuck in the same habits, and
correct.
it's good to meet people who say like, "Hey, haven't we considered this, or why don't we give this a shot and actually try it and see how it goes?"
That's right. That's right. Only we learn. Only we learn. Representative, thank you so much for the work you do, not just in Concord, but also in the Queen City. I'm looking forward to hopefully do some canvas with you in Manchester. I heard those are really fun to do with you. So, yes, please, again, your service again, and thank you for joining us today.
Totally. Have a great day.
All right, folks. Well, thank you for tuning in until our next edition. Thank you.